वेलकम टू यूनिक डिजिटल एकेडमी। आज आम डिस्कसन करवा मार्केट डिमांड शेड्यूल और मार्केट डिमांड टेबल एंड डेरिवेशन ऑफ मार्केट डिमांड कर्व। So last class we had already discussed demand, law of demand, determinants of demand. So the law of demand states that other things remaining constant, there exists an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded of a product. It states that when price of a product increases, the demand for that product declines and vice versa. Determinants of a demand means except price, what are the other factors that affects the demand for a product. For example, income of the consumer, taste and preference, climatic condition, government policy, price of related commodities like price of substitute and price of complements goods. So today we will discuss market demand curve, market demand table, or we can say that market demand schedule. So market demand curve is based on the market demand schedule, and market demand refers to the total demand for a commodity at a given price and at a given time by the buyers in the market. Your market demand. And what is market? Market means buying and selling of goods and services. Your market demand means total demand for a product by the buyers at a given time and at a given price. So for example, there are two buyers in a market and a single commodity, let's say X, and assume that X is orange. So as all of you know that there exists an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded of a product. Like that, here price of the commodity is given, two individuals, or we can say that two customers, two consumers, or two buyers in a market. One is individual A, another one is individual B. So here this is the individual A's demand, and here this is the individual B's demand. So when the price of the product is rupees 10, A's demand for that product means commodity X is 50 units, and when the price of the product increases from rupees 10 to rupees 20, the demand for commodity X declines from 50 units to 40 units. Again, price increases from 20 to 30 and the demand declines from 40 to 30 units. Again the price increases from 30 to 40 and the demand declines from 30 to 20 units according to law of demand. And here X is your normal good, and we assume that consumer are rational. It means that they can do everything by using their logic, not by their emotions. So, as a rational individual, the individual A always wants to maximize his utility, or we can say that the satisfaction. And what is utility? Once satisfying power of a commodity is known as utility, and the unit of utility is utils, like kilogram, liter, centimeter. The unit of utility is utils. So, here when the price increases from 10 to 20, 20 to 30 and 30 to 40, as a rational consumer, the demand by individual A for commodity X declines from 50 to 40, 40 to 30 and 30 to 20 units. Similarly, another individual B, and when the price of commodity X is rupees 10, B's demand is 40 units, and when the price increases from 10 to 20, demand declines from 40 to 30. Again increases price from 20 to 30, that declines from 30 to 20. Again increases from 30 to 40, and that demand declines from 20 to 10 units. So, what is market demand? So, the market demand is the total demand for commodity X. Now, we can add that. So, 50 units plus 40 units, market demand is 90 units. Again 40 units plus 30 units, demand 70 units. Again 30 units plus 20 units, demand 50 units. Again 20 units plus 10 units, demand 30 units. Here, when price increases from 10 to 20, 20 to 30 and 30 to 40, the market demand also declines from 90 to 70, 70 to 50 and 50 to 30 units. So, there also exists an inverse relationship between price and market demand for a product. So, market demand is sum of individuals' demand in the market at a given price and at a given time. Okay. Now, we can derive the market demand curve. x axis. First we can draw x axis and y axis. Law of demand, price and demand relationship, and your demand curve is sloping downwards from left to right. Point A, price and quantity demand. Point B, price and quantity demand. So, x axis that represents your quantity and y axis that represents your price. Initial price P1, price declines from P1 to P2. Initial quantity demanded X1 and final quantity demanded X2. So, when price of the product is OP1, your quantity demanded is OX1, and when price declines from OP1 to OP2, your quantity demanded for that product increases from OX1 to OX2. This is your law of demand. So, same thing in case of your market demand. So, our assumption is that there are two individuals, one is your individual A and another one is your individual B. Individual A, another individual B. Next, market demand. Okay. When price of commodity X rupees 10, S demand 50, price increases 10 to 20, demand declines 50 to 40, again increases 20 to 30, that declines 40 to 50, then increases 30 to 40 and that declines from 30 to 20. So, same interpretation in your figure. So, demand curve is always sloping downwards from left to right. Suppose assume that 2 points on demand curve A, 1 point, another point B, demand curve D1, X1, X2, P1, P2, X axis price, Y axis quantity demanded. So, when price of the product is OP, S demand is OX1. When price declines from OP1 to OP2, demand increases from OX1 to OX2. Another individual B, demand curve sloping downwards from left to right, D to D2, 2 point C, another point D, M1, M2, same price prevails in the market, P1, P2. So, when same price that prevails in the market and that price is OP1, individual B's demand is OM1, and when price declines from OP1 to OP2, demand increases from OM1 to OM2. Now, your market demand curve, market demand curve. X axis, Y axis. So, what is your market demand? Total demand for a product in a market at a given time and at a given price by all the consumers present in that market or by all the consumers in the market. So, at the demand of individual A with the demand of individual B. So, demand curve D, D, sloping downwards from left to right. X axis quantity demanded, Y axis price. X axis quantity demanded, Y axis price. 2 points E, another one F. So, add that line, add that. So, price, same price P1, P2, demand N1, N2. So, here at point E, when price of the product at point E, when price of commodity X is OP1 in the market, and what is market and what is the definition of market? Market means buying and selling of goods and services. Different types of market that we will discuss later: perfect competition, monopoly market, monopolistic competitive market, oligopoly market, under price and output determination. We will discuss that. So, at point E, when the price of commodity X is OP1 in the market, market demand is ON1. In market demand table, we add the demand of individual A with the demand of individual B and we get the market demand. So, same, the market demand ON1 is the sum of individual A's demand OX1 plus individual B's demand OM1. Similarly, at point F, when the price of X declines from OP1 to OP2, in the market due to any reason. The market demand ON2 is equal to OX2 individual S demand plus individual B's demand OM2. So, market demand is the sum of individuals or consumers demand in the market, and it shows the total demand for a product at a given point of time and at a given price by the consumers in the market. So, when the price of the product is OP2, individual S demand is OX2, and when the price of the product increases from OP to OP1, the demand declines from OX to OX1. Similarly, in case of individual B, when the price of the product is OP2, same price prevails in the market at a given price and at a given point of time. When the price of the product is OP2, the quantity demanded by individual B is OM2. And when the price of the product increases due to any reason, that OP to OP1, the demand declines from OM to OM1. Similarly, when the price of the product is OP2, the market demand at point F is ON2, and when the price of the product increases from ON2, price of the product increases from OP to OP1, the demand declines from ON to ON1. So, in conclusion, we can say that there exists an inverse relationship between price and market demand of a product. Okay. So, next class we will discuss your elasticity of demand. What is elasticity of demand? Definition of elasticity of demand, different types or kinds of elasticity of demand, perfect elasticity of demand with some examples, perfectly inelasticity of demand or perfectly inelastic with some example, relatively elastic with some example, relatively inelastic with some example, and unitary elastic. So, next class we will discuss that. Okay. So, thank you so much. Please like, share and subscribe our channel Unique Digital